Welcome to this video on the 5 orthodox dharmas from the tabletop role-playing game Kindred of the East. Many of the monsters of the world of darkness have fallen from a mythical state of grace. Some even believe that redemption, or purification, or rectification may be possible, whether they call such a process Golconda, Ascension, Ma'at, Transcendence, or even the Apocalypse. But only the Kuei-jin know with absolute certainty that the road they walk out of hell itself is truly the road back, the fivefold path as laid out by the grand Arhat Xue, who ascended to the 100 clouds, and dozens of bodhisattvas, some who have returned to the cycle of reincarnation, and others who remain to guide the young. The 5 dharmas correspond to the 5 directions, the 5 elements, the 5 celestial beasts, the 5 colors, and the 5 aspects of the Kuei-jin's soul. A Kuei-jin's dharma is determined by their karmic failings in mortal life, which they must free themselves of if they hope to free themselves of the Yama Kings' grasp upon them. But without further ado, the 5 dharmas. The Howl of the Devil Tiger. The dharma of the searing wind follows what it calls the mantra of pain. This is the legacy inherited from the grand Arhat Xue after the destruction of Mount Meru. When Xue witnessed the destruction of Meru, he ripped open his own sides and scourged himself with nettles. At the denouement of this suffering, he tore his own face off and threw it into the fires. At that moment, he attained enlightenment. The Howl of the Devil Tiger believe in cleansing the soul through pain, a piece of Yomi they carried with them into their second breath and their return into the Middle Kingdom. Through suffering comes truth, cutting through deception and illusion. Others, Mortal and Wan Kuei, imagine the devil tigers to be demon worshippers. An easy mistake to make, as the devil tigers seem to take great pains to indulge in atrocities. They court spirits of pain and defilement, chant obscene mantras, and torment the living. But the ignorant only see what is at the surface. The devil tigers do not worship demons. They seek to supplant them, to outdo them, and to replace them in the cosmic order. After all, is it not the duty of devils to punish the wicked, to cleanse their souls and prepare them for their next incarnation? To heal the sick sometimes means causing them pain. A man with a gangrenous limb must have it amputated and cauterized. He must endure the cut and the brand, but in the end, his life is saved. Likewise, the devil tigers seek to teach themselves and others to endure suffering as Xue did, and by doing so, gain enlightenment. Pain is true. The fear of pain is an illusion that bars the path to enlightenment. So, the searing wind meets pain not with fear, but rather with joy. The devil tigers are the lightning that cuts through the darkness, the thunderbolt that strikes down the truly wicked. In this, they seek to replace the demons who have failed at their tasks under heaven, specifically the Yama Kings. The devil tigers await the coming 6th age with glad hearts. They will cut and burn like lightning, and when the age of the demon emperor is done, a newer and better world will come after. The devil tigers are taught to be skillful in their violence, to be masters of torment and death. Brutality does not lead to enlightenment, but to more brutality. Those chosen by the devil tigers learn through suffering themselves, then meditate on their pain. Hell was only the beginning of their training. The Yama Kings cut away their most obvious weaknesses. With their second breath, the devil tigers seek to become refined instruments of divine terror and holy wisdom. However, it is easy for devil tigers to be distracted by the skills of pain that they learn. Subtlety is rare among the devil tigers, even among the elders. While other dharmas work to turn back the wheel of ages from the 6th age, the devil tigers welcome it, even hunger for it, a fact that makes other Wan Kuei wonder if they are not already in the thrall of the Yama Kings and don't even know it themselves. The Way of the Resplendent Crane. When Mount Meru was destroyed, Xue wandered the earth, pondering the fall of the Wan Kuei, born of the Wanjian's pride and heaven's wrath. Xue meditated on the road back to heaven's grace at the Falls of Tong for 1,000 nights, until his flesh bloated and turned green. When his hunger for qi caused him to leave his meditations, he witnessed a white crane pluck a frog from beneath the ice of a frozen pond at the bottom of the falls. Then, the crane released the frog, which transformed into a butterfly. In this moment, Xue attained enlightenment. The way of the resplendent crane seeks to conform the earth to the will of heaven through rigorous obedience to laws and the purity of the lawmakers. Enlightened leaders embody heaven's will and gain its blessings. After all, the Wanjian were cast down for flouting heaven's will and cursed to be the Wan Kuei. To this end, the resplendent cranes become brutal, merciless enforcers of the law. They reject the Po spirit, the demon, and seek to exemplify honor, wisdom, and duty. The Shining Ice Guardians, as the Way of the Resplendent Crane are sometimes known, believe that the Sixth Age is not a foregone conclusion. It can, in fact, be turned aside through righteous action, even back to the Age of Heaven. Yet the earth is more corrupt now than it has ever been. The Wan Kuei have been given one final chance to redeem themselves, and with them, all of creation. The Way of the Resplendent Crane is based on the Eight Lotus Path, a collection of analects and koans that teaches virtue, obedience to law, instruction of the ignorant, and punishment of the wicked. Even if the Kuei-jin engage in righteous action, not everyone in the world can be saved. That which cannot be balanced must be purged. This includes the detrimental foreign influence that infects the Middle Kingdom, from the Mongol hordes to the decadent Westerners. Kuei-jin given over to the resplendent cranes recognize that they are impure and strive to cleanse and refine themselves into paragons of discipline and righteousness. In life, many shame themselves, heaven, and their families through their reckless behavior. Through study, training, and asceticism, a Shining Ice Guardian sets the example that all others should strive to follow. The Way of the Resplendent Crane does not suffer failure or corruption. When faced with such, their cold fury freezes the blood of their soon-to-be victims. Additionally, their legalist interpretation of the Eight Lotus Path and the Fivefold Way gives them the leeway to do as they wish and cut down their enemies under less than righteous circumstances. And they will embrace every virtue, except perhaps forgiveness. After all, they do not forgive themselves. Why would they extend such grace to others? The Song of the Shadow. During the Grand Arhat Xue's wandering, he entered the forest of Hingfan. There he met and romanced one of the restless dead that dwelt therein. But she was pulled from the Middle Kingdom into the Yin world, the realm of the Ebon Dragon. Xue entered the Yin world in pursuit of her. With a single breath, the Ebon Dragon reduced Xue to dust. The Ebon Dragon then asked him, "Would you swirl in my air forever and a day?" Xue responded that he would, if it would bring him closer to his love. The Ebon Dragon only sneered at him, that the dead had no use for love, and scattered Xue's dust to the 5 directions. Xue's ghostly lover did not move, and her eyes were cold and merciless. Despite this, a single tear fell from her eye and landed in Xue's dust. Then, the Grand Arhat was reformed from that very spot. Through this, the Ebon Dragon attained enlightenment. The Song of Shadows studies the Sutra of the Midnight Jewel, which describes the spirit realms as a shining web of which the living world is merely morning dew. The bone flowers, as the Kuei-jin of the Song of Shadows are occasionally known, walk through these strands like spiders, catching the living flies caught in the web, walking between death and life, equally at home in the dark kingdom of Jade as they are in the Middle Kingdom. They shepherd the restless dead to their proper place, and punish those who dishonor the dead. The Song of Shadows Dharma is hungry for knowledge. They scour the libraries of the living and the memories of the dead with equal veracity, almost as great as their hunger for chi. The bone flowers are Wan Kuei of cold precision. Everything is symbolic and must be analyzed for greater meaning. Given their learnedness, the bone flowers are often dispatched to the beast courts and the palaces of the little gods as diplomats. Those who joined the Dharma of the Song of the Shadow often died unfulfilled and unloved, seeking to fill the void in their hearts with work and study. This void follows them into their second breath. Despite their coldness, they long for love and romance, even if such love is doomed by their ties to the yin world. The bone flowers are taught to learn by contemplation, meditation, and enigmas, being the most common tools of the Song of Shadows elders to shape their disciples. They study the living, their joys, their sorrows, in order to better understand what they lose when they pass into the yin world. The bone flowers are well known for their very formalized and stylistic performances and rites, equally haunting and insightful, sometimes too much so for their audiences. Still, this does not stop the bone flowers from producing many such works of art. Bone flowers are fragile, enthralling, and repulsive creatures. Their skin is pale to the point of chalkiness and stretched taut over their bones. Their voices are often an unearthly whisper. They are the yawning grave, inviting all yet terrifying on a primal level. Those who meet them flee at the very sight of them, or fall hopelessly in love with them. The Path of 1,000 Whispers. In the hollow reed, Grand Arhat Xue observed the centipede. It could not leap as the grasshopper, nor fly like the wasp. Instead, the centipede shuffled along on its 100 legs. Each of the centipede's 50 sections moved in thoughtless, instinctive harmony. From this observation, Xue attained enlightenment. And this is the part where I tell you to keep your human centipede comments to yourself. The Kuei-jin of the 1,000 Whispers aspire to be like the hollow reed. Water feeds the reed, but the reed contains nothing. It is rooted in the ground, but reaches into the sky. Through living multiple lives, the 1,000 Whispers gain multiple perspectives. Enlightenment is a long road, but the Kuei-jin are immortal, and time only binds lesser creatures. The rootless trees are the rarest dharma of the quincunx. They walk a path of perfect balance through the broken mask, essentially, trained multiple personalities that are distilled into understanding. The 1,000 Whispers love sutras and riddles. They seek to understand old problems through new eyes by changing lives, identities, personalities, and alliances, sometimes in an instant. To the elders of the Whispering Way, each life is a step closer to true wisdom. To other Kuei-jin, the 1,000 Whispers are an unpredictable and inconstant set of allies at best, and dangerous maniacs at worst. 1,000 Whispers undergo ritual deaths when they are ready to shed an identity, sometimes staging dramatic ends to their former selves. Some hollow reeds liken their path to carving a jade statue. Each new life is another cut in the stone. The end result is the perfection of both the stone and the craftsman. In life, many 1,000 Whispers were true believers, either of one cause or of many. The elders of the 1,000 Whispers give them impossible questions and then cast them out into the world to find the answers, armed with 3 identities, 3 lives, and 3 possible answers. With these 3 lives, they learn all of the skills they will need to walk the path of 1,000 Whispers under their Sifu's guidance. A hollow reed learns the art of ritual death and rebirth. Sometimes they will spend years buried in meditation, uncoupling their souls from their bodies and walking the yin and yang worlds, until they have learned the lesson of their previous life and are ready to reemerge. Every time they die, they sever all connections to their former life, including their wu and court, if they held such allegiances. The path of 1,000 Whispers is perilous, and many Kuei-jin fall to one of the 4 other directions. To ground themselves, the rootless trees become like the earth, solid in appearance to others, yet constantly shifting beneath the surface, like mud, or tectonic plates, or swirling quicksand. The centipedes give the appearance of stillness, yet are creatures of perpetual motion. But the hollow reeds are most dangerous to those they love. For the sake of their dharma, they will cut off any attachments that bind too tightly, whether it is a lover, a friend, or even the children of their own bodies. They will betray and kill for the sake of the path. The Dance of the Thrashing Dragon. While the Grand Arhat Xue wandered the world, he set his staff aside and meditated in a forest. During his meditation, a thunderstorm rolled over him, pouring rain into the rivers and the ground. The rain washed away Xue's melancholy and worries. He felt the insects crawling beneath his feet and over his back. He heard the birds calling from the trees around him. the symphony of life surrounded him, filled his ears, and finally his soul. Then the storm broke. A rainbow crossed the sky. As the birds soared through the refracting lights, Xue laughed and attained enlightenment. The laughing rainbows of the Thrashing Dragon are Kuei-jin who pursue life and death. They are even more alive than most mortals, brimming with vitality and force that cannot be contained, dancing and thrashing through the world like the dragons for which they are named. They are indulgent, dangerous, feasting and fucking with wild and equal abandon. Their temples in the jungles of Southeast Asia are fearsome, even to other Kuei-jin. They reject nearly every taboo and restriction, mastering flesh through martial arts and tantrism, changing their shapes so that they may run, crawl, and fly with the beasts, to learn life from those who still live. The laughing rainbows are equally at home in cities teeming with humans as they are in forests crawling with beasts. The dragons invite all to join their dance, whether as celebrants or as victims, and sometimes both. The dragons honor their victims even as they take their flesh, their blood, and their chi. Yang is sacred to them, and they give thanks for it, even as they rip it from their sacrifices. The Thrashing Dragons are deeply in touch with the Yang world, and commune with the wild spirits of that realm, even speaking to the kami in their own language. Despite their brutality, the Thrashing Dragons are capable of nurturing life, for they understand that life must follow death, and death must feed life. For the cycle to remain, it must turn constantly. Ironically, many Thrashing Dragons, in life, denied themselves any sensuality and cowered from living. After the second breath, all of their karma comes bursting forth in a storm of joy and bloodshed. Tantra figures heavily in the practices of the Thrashing Dragons, and they have made an art of taking chi from their lovers by refining it during the act of sexual intercourse. Unsurprisingly, the Thrashing Dragons regard moderation and restraint as abhorrent. They respect few social mores and enjoy confrontation with those who would deny them. The laughing rainbows are greedy for life, for pleasure, and for chi. It is well known that these Kuei-jin are cannibals, or anthropophages if you don't believe them to be human anymore, and exult in consuming their victims alive and aware because living flesh means sweet, yang-aligned chi. However, they do not feed from Kuei-jin, or any other dead thing. Secretly, the laughing rainbows despise what they are, which is dead. Many hope that if they consume enough life force, they might truly live again. Needless to say, this does not work. Yet still, they try, and they hope, and they dance forever. And those were the 5 orthodox dharmas of the Kuei-jin. The dharmas of the Kuei-jin are easier to handle for players who can successfully run a Path of Enlightenment vampire, as the Kuei-jin are monsters and few of them pretend to be otherwise. In fact, it is their duty to be such. Holy devils, but devils nonetheless. Dead men and women who must correct the imbalance of many lifetimes by an extreme rebalance on the opposite side in undeath. The idea of divine monstrosity does pop up in other games like Hunter the Reckoning, Demon the Fallen, and Vampire the Requiem, in the form of the Lankea Sanctum. In fact, Changeling the Lost shares more themes with Kindred of the East than it does with its similar namesake, Changeling the Dreaming. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Until next time.